If your name, your traits, and your memories were erased, would you still exist? This question exposes a deeper problem in how we think about identity. Most people imagine the self as a combination of personality traits, achievements, and social recognition, a psychological resume that defines who they are. But such definitions depend entirely on external frames: how others see you, what you remember, and what society rewards. The Sufi philosopher Ibn Arabi proposed a far more radical idea. Beneath these shifting layers lies what he called a hidden name, a metaphysical essence through which the divine recognizes you. This name is not a label or a role. It is the mode of being that expresses itself uniquely through your existence. The question this lecture explores is simple yet profound. What is this hidden name, and what happens when you begin to live from it? To answer that, we'll connect Ibn Arabi's metaphysical model of selfhood with modern psychology and neuroscience, tracing how both converge on the same insight: identity is not constructed. It is revealed through awareness. Modern life has turned identity into a project, a set of profiles, performances, and updates we constantly revise. People today move between roles: professional, parent, influencer, friend. Each demands a slightly different version of you, and this fluidity, while flexible, often leaves an undercurrent of instability. Psychology provides useful frameworks for understanding this fragmentation. Don McAdams describes the narrative self as a story we tell to maintain coherence across time. Yet these stories are fragile. When life contradicts them through failure, loss, or change, the self feels threatened. Social identity theory adds another layer. Our sense of worth is largely derived from group membership and external validation. This explains why rejection or lack of visibility online can trigger anxiety. The mind equates social invisibility with non-existence. Neuroscience confirms the strain of this self-focus. The default mode network, the brain system active during self-referential thought, becomes overactive during rumination and depression. In other words, the more we think about who we are, the less stable we feel. The result is a paradox. People pursue identity through constant self-definition, yet the more they construct, the more disconnected they become. Ibn Arabi reframes this entire dilemma. Identity, he says, is not manufactured by thought, but disclosed through consciousness itself. The task is not to create the self, but to recognize the pattern of being already living through it. Ibn Arabi, the 12th, 13th century Andalusian philosopher-mystic, developed one of the most intricate metaphysical systems in history. He was not only a mystic, but a rigorous thinker who treated spiritual experience as an empirical study of consciousness. His central principle is simple but profound. Every being is a name of God made visible in time. In Islamic metaphysics, the divine names are not linguistic titles but ontological functions, distinct ways the divine essence manifests within creation. Each being, from a star to a human soul, is a particular articulation of these names. Thus, the human soul is not an independent entity but a locus of manifestation, a mirror reflecting a specific divine quality. Rationally speaking, Ibn Arabi's theory functions like a taxonomy of consciousness. Each soul corresponds to a particular frequency or attribute within the vast field of being, in modern scientific terms. This resembles how in quantum physics, every particle is an excitation of a single unified field, distinct yet inseparable from the whole. In metaphysical terms, each person is a singular vibration within the infinite spectrum of the divine field. Ibn Arabi's entire philosophy begins with the principle of al-wujud, the oneness of being. Reality, he argues, is not a collection of independent things, but a single field of existence continuously disclosing itself in infinite forms, a process he calls tajalli, or manifestation. The soul, then, is not a separate subject peering out at the world, but a specific aperture through which reality perceives itself. Your existence is a unique configuration of divine qualities, what Ibn Arabi calls your hidden name. This idea has a scientific parallel. In quantum field theory, what we call particles are local excitations of one underlying field. They appear separate, yet they are not independent. Likewise, every person is a localized expression of one universal consciousness. Psychologically, this means identity is not additive, a list of traits or roles, but expressive. Being is revealing itself as you. The search for who you are ends not in invention, but in recognition. Ibn Arabi's epistemology is summarized in a single aphorism. He who knows himself knows his Lord. For him, self-knowledge is not introspective speculation, but ma'rifa, direct inner recognition. The hidden name is not discovered through logic, but unveiled through awareness. Modern cognitive science offers a complementary view through the concept of interoception, the brain's ability to perceive internal bodily signals. Studies show that heightened interoceptive awareness improves emotional regulation and decision-making, indicating that knowing oneself physiologically enhances one's capacity to respond intelligently to life. In both Ibn Arabi's metaphysics and modern neuroscience, authentic knowing arises from alignment, the coherence between perception and being. Intuition, then, is not irrational. It is the intelligence of harmony. Thus, to know yourself in Ibn Arabi's sense is to become transparent to reality, to realize that the knower and the known are two faces of one awareness. Every divine name carries polarity. Mercy implies power, beauty implies majesty. To embody a name is to hold both sides of its spectrum. The hidden name within you, therefore, includes both light and shadow. If your name expresses compassion, its distortion may appear as overprotection or passivity. If it expresses justice, the shadow may surface as rigidity or control. Modern psychology echoes this insight. Carl Jung's theory of shadow integration teaches that wholeness emerges when we acknowledge rather than repress disowned traits. Neuroscientific findings support this. Chronic emotional suppression activates the amygdala, heightening stress responses. Ibn Arabi's framework suggests that spiritual maturity lies not in suppressing the shadow but in harmonizing it, allowing both aspects of your name to serve balance rather than conflict. The goal is not perfection, but integration, embodying divine polarity responsibly. Ibn Arabi used the term ta'ayun, determination or specification, to describe how each soul is a precise articulation of divine intent. To live from your hidden name is to act in alignment with that intent, letting being express its quality through your choices, temperament, and service. Modern psychology provides a striking parallel in self-determination theory, which finds that autonomy, competence, and relatedness, acting in harmony with one's intrinsic motivations, predict lasting well-being. In this light, the hidden name is like a psychological signature frequency. When you live according to it, experience feels meaningful and fluid. When you resist it, life feels incoherent or forced. Consider a simple example. A person whose hidden name reflects Al-Rahman, naturally thrives in healing or service. When such a person suppresses empathy in pursuit of competition, inner conflict and burnout emerge. Alignment restores balance because the soul resumes its natural vibration to understand. Ibn Arabi's hidden name, more precisely, we must separate it from the idea of personal destiny or fate. It is not a script imposed from outside, but the intrinsic potential through which being recognizes itself as you. The paradox is subtle. Your uniqueness is entirely real, yet it exists only because individuality itself is illusory. The infinite expresses diversity precisely to know its unity. Without multiplicity, oneness would remain unrecognized, philosophically. This aligns with phenomenology's insight that consciousness always entails relationship. There is no self without world, no subject without object. Identity, therefore, is relational, not substantial. Psychologically, this distinction matters. Genuine self-esteem does not arise from asserting individuality, but from congruence with intrinsic value. Research on self-concordance shows that people flourish when their actions express inner values rather than external pressures. Ibn Arabi's logic leads to a simple yet transformative realization. You are irreplaceable not because of egoic specialness, but because existence would be incomplete without your specific expression of the whole. The infinite requires every finite mirror to know its own reflection. How can such an abstract concept become practical? Ibn Arabi's insight can be translated into a structured psychological discipline, a way of observing, integrating, and expressing the attributes that define your authentic mode of being. Step 1. Observation. Notice recurring emotional and situational patterns. What qualities dominate your responses? Compassion, precision, truth-seeking, creativity. These patterns hint at your dominant name field. Modern psychology would call this identifying core values or signature strengths. Step 2. Integration. Acknowledge both the empowering and challenging sides of these traits. If you embody compassion, you may also face exhaustion. If you express strength, you may risk insensitivity. Integration prevents ego inflation as well as self-denial. Step 3. Expression. Channel your essential quality through consistent, conscious behavior. This produces psychological flow, a state of alignment between intention and action. Studies in authenticity show that congruence between inner values and outward behavior predicts emotional stability and resilience. A simple reflection practice can help. Ask, what quality seeks to live through me today? Over time, the answer will reveal a pattern. Your hidden name made visible through daily consciousness. Living in this way replaces the restless search for identity with effortless expression of being. You no longer construct a self to prove worth. You allow the existing order of consciousness to unfold through you. Your hidden name is not something you invent. It is what existence has already spoken through you. Ibn Arabi's teaching reframes the question of identity from who am I to through what is being recognizing itself as me. Modern psychology converges on the same insight. Authenticity and well-being emerge not from performance but from congruence. When your actions reflect your intrinsic qualities rather than borrowed identities, thus, identity becomes less about possession and more about participation. The self is not a noun to be defined, but a verb to be enacted. The ongoing revelation of a quality too vast to belong to you, yet too intimate to exist without you. In Ibn Arabi's rational metaphysics, the soul's journey is not toward becoming something greater, but toward perceiving what it already is. A name of God made visible for a brief, luminous moment in time.